Howdy, folks. Alright, here's what I've done. All I've done is typed out all of the bitmaps, and they're all loaded into the program. What else did I change? The only other thing I changed is these dimensions. I made them match the width of the stars sprite that I made. Another thing that I did is I made a couple more bitmaps. I forgot about the reticule I was planning on having. It's red normally and then turns to green when it's locked on, or vice versa, I'm not sure. And then I just made, where is it? I just made a black square. All it is a black square. And that'll just be for the background. And I'll just, while I'm at it, go and load these bitmaps. Black Sprites, black.bitmap. Reticule R. And reticule G. And that's it. Now, we'll add the sprites in the preliminary stuff. So if you remember, to add a sprite, you would go print into the graphics window, and then in quotes, add sprite. Then you name the sprite. So once again, I'll do this for the hero and then fill the rest in later. So I'm going to just call him hero, and then following that, you have every bitmap that you associate to hero. So in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I just list them one by one. Hero S0, hero S1, hero L1, hero R1. Okay, and then you just go on and do it for all the sprites that you have. So I guess I'll just do that later. I don't need to do it all in front of you. You get the idea. And another thing I'd like to do in this video is talk about what happens in the main loop. So basically the last thing that happens, I would say, is draw the sprites. And so every 56 milliseconds, we know we're going to be drawing the sprites. So if you remember, that's just print number 1, draw sprites. Simple as that. Blum, 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 blum. What do we want before that? Well, at some point we're going to go to a subroutine named collision test. And I believe a good time to do that is probably just before drawing sprites. Another thing we're going to have to do is determine the XY position of every single sprite that we have. So I guess I'll just have a branch named sprite position. And what else do we need to do? I'm trying to think. What other things do we have the player able to do? Obviously there will be a lot to fill in as we go here, because when you're programming, you have the basic idea in mind, but you don't have all the details of how that's going to work out. So it's kind of like drawing a snowflake. You start out with, something rather nebulous, and then as time goes on, oh, what's that? Oh, and then more details happen. More details happen. It's looking less like a triangle and more like a snowflake. And that happens again as you refine your detail even more and more. You figure out what you're doing, and sooner or later you've got this cute little drawing of a snowflake. And that's basically what we're doing here when we're programming. When we're coming up with a piece of software or a game, we have the basic idea in mind, and each step adds another layer of complexity. So it's okay if you don't have all the nuts and bolts in place the first time through writing your program, and then you'll hit a step where you realize, oh, I got to go back and modify this step, and it's just a cycle of refining and refining until finally you're done. And so that's all for this video. Stay tuned for more awesomeness.